The label non-comedogenic is not legally regulated, and companies can freely label products as non-comedogenic. Hi, I'm Christina. Welcome back to my channel. This is another part of trying not to waste my medical sciences degree, and today I want to dive in this label, this term non-comedogenic, because I have seen it quite a few times in the products I got and around in the store. I wonder, what does it really mean? Does it mean that it meets some kind of requirements, or what does it take for companies to label a product non-comedogenic? And does the label really mean that it will not clog your pores and will not trigger acne and breakouts? So I just want to dive in and ask some scientific questions so you can make a better decisions in what type of products to get and if you will trust this label. So firstly, I started my research from ChatGPT. Now with the AI, everything is quite easy, but I didn't just stop there. So let's see. So what does non-comedogenic means? Comedo is a medical term for blocked pore that can lead to blackheads or whiteheads or other breakouts. So basically, non-comedogenic means that it will not causing blocked pores or comedone. So it has a, the term has a background to it. And I asked it to list a few non-comedogenic ingredients to me. So hyaluronic acid, glycerin, niacinamide, zinc oxide as well, which is very interesting because zinc oxide, I know, is the major ingredients in mineral sunscreen. And the common comedogenic ingredients that may cause clogged pores, it has coconut oil, for example. And then I asked this question: how do researchers determine all these ingredients are actually non-comedogenic? Because I had no idea. So it turns out that in early years, like 1970s or 80s, so the researchers would apply the products on rabbit ear. So it's a type of animal experiment. Now I believe it's really rare. So back in the days, they would apply an ingredient repeatedly to the inner ear of a rabbit for several weeks and examine the skin underneath to see if there are comedones. If yes, then it's comedogenic. If not, then the other one. So later on, this method was replaced by human patch tests, and I imagine there will be some kind of lab models that really mimics human skin very well. So regardless if it's on rabbit ear or human patch test, so how do the scientists really scale or assess if it will cause clogged pores? So it turned out that there's been a scale, so comedogenicity rating scale. So you'll usually rate from 0 to 5. So 0 is will not clogged pores, and 1 to 2 is low chance, 3 moderate, and 4 to 5 is high likelihood. And yeah, in modern times, this kind of test is rarely done on rabbit ear or human or animal models. It's done on lab-grown human skin, or as I mentioned before, patch tests. And here the answer, even though it's from ChatGPT, is very interesting, and that's what makes me want to look into it further. So non-comedogenic isn't legally regulated. It's based on available data and internal testing by companies. Let's dive in further. So I did ask it to send me a few actual published review, because AI draw data from all these sites and you don't really know what are legit or what are the real data. So I have to look into the real published research myself. And so I found this one. I think it's a very good review. So in Science, you see this one, a review of clinical relevance, regulatory gaps, and future directions. A review is basically this person who write a review look at all the experiments that has been done, all the data in the relevant topic, and try to make a summary of the findings. Yeah. So let's have a look at this review. And this one is quite recent as well. It's 2025. I don't know why it says December 2025, because when I filmed this video is October 2025. So in the abstract of this review, it says lack of standardized testing and regulatory oversight allow companies to freely label products as non-comedogenic, and there are other flaws in limitations in methods and such and such. So let's have a look. So in the introduction, it says comedogenicity refers to the tendency of a substance to cause clogged pores that manifest as blackheads or whiteheads. So next, development and the use of the rabbit ear assay to assess comedogenicity. Researchers used to use the rabbit ears follicular units, and score of 0 to 1 was considered non-comedogenic. comedogenic, and grade of 3 and above suggested significant comedogenicity. That's how the experiments has been done and how the scientists were scaling this. And on this screenshot that I'm going to put, there are some common ingredients that has been tested in cosmetics. Yeah, there's this, I'm not gonna pronounce that because I'm not a chemist. Yeah, I just want to look in the science and research behind. So also coconut oil is a common thing to be tested with. Okay, now we go to these controversies and ongoing debates. So again, no regulation in the industry. And so basically it says the FDA does not have a legal definition for the term, and the lack of standardized and validated clinical testing methods leads to an ambiguity of comedogenicity in products marketed to public as non-comedogenic. It also touched on this other consequence coming from this lack of regulation. It's the fact that some acne products, like products to treat acne, may actually contain some acne-prone ingredients. Firstly, science is not exact, but at the same time, when scientists only test one ingredient, but in a formulation, in the type of products, there's always a formulation. That means it's a mix of different ingredients in different concentrations. So the answer is not always that simple. And sometimes, as it says here, for example, tretinoin, a widely used topical retinoid for the treatment of acne, often includes this isopropyl myristate. I'm not gonna pronounce that. I should have looked in that beforehand, but I'm sorry. And this is an inactive ingredient constantly cited in literature as highly comedogenic. So I read somewhere that this ingredient is also, this ingredient has the highest possible rating of 5 in the comedogenicity scale. But this ingredient used in a formulation, it can be a treatment for acne. So it's actually quite complex. And in this screenshot here, I highlighted is unknown how combining comedogenic ingredients in the formulation of acne products may affect acne without final product testing. So this is saying that, our understanding of one ingredient, whether that ingredient will trigger acne or clog pore, is not enough. More testing needs to be done on the final product of that specific formulation and to see if that formulation will cause clogged pores and acne and breakout, which I think it really makes sense. A lot of these research done by companies, they are, internal. They are not really published to the public, not like this one that I'm showing here. So I think next time I will spend more time and try to find more research about this internal company testing, but it's unlikely that they're public. Now the review is talking about some criticism of the testing. So firstly, we know that already when you are scaling something, it's subjective. So subjectivity in comedogenic ratings is one limitation. And another limitation is that when you test a product on rapid air or patch test or something, I have read that even though it's human patch test, is done on the back or on the hand or another part of the body, but in reality is that when your skin in different parts of the body has different type of sensitivity. The skin on the face is more sensitive than the back, for example, and under your eyes they are more sensitive. So a lot of these tests, even though it's human patch test, is done in a different area. So that's another limitation. Scientists are trying their best to, do tests and make results and have a conclusion so we can better judge the product, so we can better understand it. But it's not exactly, but eventually it's not really the same. So that's another limitation. Yeah, exactly. Here in this next screenshot, it says, in addition, the majority of comedogenicity testing occurs on the upper back when the product's intended use is on the face. And there are challenges when testing products on the face, so participants might not like it, they don't want to face the risk and the potential allergic reactions. Therefore, in addition to lacking standardization, there's also an issue of applicability. So tailored formulations should be considered to help prevent and treat acne-prone skin. And we're living in a really fast-paced world, and with the development of AI, and then in the future, personalized skincare will likely continue to expand, and potentially scientists can even analyze genetic predisposition, hormonal status, and lipodomic profile. So that means that scientists can analyze a lot of things based on your genes, and if there could be a blood test or something, and then it can analyze your hormonal status, and based on those, it recommends the skincare that's right for you. So I think that's really cool if it can really be, personalized to such a degree. So conclusion, I think by now I'm very clear with my message. So pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies may conduct internal comedogenicity testing before labeling products, but there is no way to guarantee the validity of the labels. I believe on the market online, there are some comedogenicity checking platforms. They are based on this scale that existing information is a great resource, but it's also not governed by scientific or regulatory standards or agencies. And again, it emphasizes the quantity of ingredients and the way they combined matters, so not just a single component. So testing the finishing product, the final formulation, is very important. And we should, rely on clinical evidence and patient experience when selecting skincare products. So if you can and if you know how to, make sure you check the evidence, if there's any clinical trial, clinical tests, and also check reviews online. Hopefully these days the influencers, including myself, are, honest and do their best to really share the experience and not just receive PR and then just say good things about it. Especially myself, I try to remind myself, look into the science and share my experience. If it doesn't work for me, then it doesn't work. If it works, that's great, and it may not for others. So the take-home message is do your research. Let's have a quick conclusion there. So comedogenicity is a tendency of an ingredient to cause clogged pores and lead to comedones. Researchers used to test this on rabbit ears and give a score from 0 to 5, and this could be subjective. Now, most of the tests are done on human model or actual human patch tests, but these tests have some limitations. For example, it's different area that they did a patch test, and when it is applied on our face, it's different. And also, the industry lacks standardization and regulations when labeling, and companies can do internal testings and label freely based on those internal testings. Finally, make sure you do your own research and hear other people's experience. Based on those, make a judgment if you would like to get certain products. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one. Consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up, likes, and leave some comments if you have experienced, a product that's labeled non-comedogenic, but it actually caused you breakouts or comedones. Let's talk about how we can, better research and better understand the science behind all these products and what works for you. Bye!